If you're trying to land a tech sales job by sending out hundreds of applications on LinkedIn and hoping for someone to reply, you're doing it completely wrong. I've helped over 300 people break into tech sales at the most elite companies, like, for example, Audrey, who landed Salesforce just last month. She also landed Snowflake, a job offer at Snowflake, which she ended up actually taking. Or Thomas, who landed a 165K offer at Box, and many, many others. Most of those people that you see here they had sales experience, but they never had tech sales experience when they started. And some others weren't even in sales at all. For example, Abe used to be an engineer before, or Justin used to work in customer support for a bank. And the purpose of this video is to show you how those guys basically land those roles in literally like less than 10 weeks. By the end of this video, you're going to know the exact system that gets you 10 to 15 interviews at top tier companies within just a few weeks, even if you have no experience, no network, and no interviews lined up. And once you see this system, this next point will make perfect sense. Don't blast hundreds of applications on LinkedIn in 2026. There's something you can do that is significantly better. It takes far less time, costs almost nothing, and generates tons of interviews and job offers. Because the truth is this: the old version of tech sales recruitment is completely dead. And let me show you what to do instead. First of all, so I just want to tackle like why it is dead. Some of these roles, basically in tech sales today, are paying more than doctor. So everyone wants in. The market as sophisticated. And what saddens me is I still see people trying to get interviews, that pay those huge salaries with methods that are stuck in 2010. Let me show you just a quick example here. Here, like we have this person, I literally just Googled, you can see it here. That person is saying, I've spent the past few months sending out application, 200. I tailor my resume, write cover letter, blah, blah, blah. I just get rejected. No one calls me back. And even in the rare actually get interviews, I get flushed out. This is the old ways, okay? This used to work back in 2010 when the salaries in sales, the biggest one were for people that were selling cars. Then software happened and it completely shattered the compensation bands that were available in that profession. What I'm trying to say here is like back then, and today people are still using those same methods. And what they do is they send 200 applications, they get 2 responses and 0 offers most of the time. It goes like something like this. You keep sending. Step 1, I blast 100 emails. Second is I use a resume that is just me, and is bending the knee and is literally like crying that I'm using ChatGPT and I'm just trying to say like, please choose me, please love me. That's the energy basically that you're sending out. And the reason you're doing it this way is because you think you're special, when the reality is you're not. At least not on the resume. You think your resume is special. It is fucking not. It looks like exactly everyone else. And because you look like everyone else, no one pays attention to you. So what do? You send an email follow-up. Hey, just want to bump this to the top of your inbox. Hey, did you get my email? Did you see my application? Again, everyone just obviously ghosts. And again, in the rare occasions where somehow you end up getting an interview, first of all, it's typically with a shitty company. And it's either a shitty company or it's a company that you're not sure is even good. And what you do, you're very happy. You bring on your biggest smile. You tune up your energy. You do some quick research, about that company, and you go there and you give it your best shot. That's not preparation. That's not how we prepare an interview. Like, this method is exactly why people are not getting results. And what pains me the most when I read those posts is people are actually seeking help. And what are they being told? You could be doing something wrong. You can know for sure, but the system is also broken. The job market is bad. The system is... No, you're broken. Your system is absolute crap. And it's not because you use ChatGPT that you will get one of those jobs, at least get an opportunity to meet with someone that pays for these roles. So once you realize that, that's the first mindset shift that you need to get. Then you realize that you need to level up. This is about selling years of your life, okay, and getting paid for it and taking care of your family. You better have a better approach than this. And this is exactly what we're going to be covering in the rest of the video. So there's what I called the old meta and the new meta. I am one of those people that just understand better with contrast. Like, I need to know what's the shitty one, what is the good one, just magically things starts connecting. I'm going to present you basically this process by contrasting the differences between the two. Here's the first big difference, between the old meta and the new meta. The old meta is you literally just spam applications. And sometimes you get like LinkedIn gurus, you try to follow people on the internet to understand like what's going on. And all you hear is just like, hey, increase volume. You've applied to 20 jobs. You should go to 200. This is completely like nuts. It makes zero sense because you're burning bridges. The reality is like, this is hilarious because there's actually less than 200 companies in 2026 that are worth working for, assuming you're serious, about your career in sales. So what we will do instead is always just fucking do the opposite of the nice candidate. If the guy's going for 200 applications, it's targeting, it's just blasting people. We're just going to select 25 in this case. And what we'll do is we'll filter companies. What people are missing, what the nice candidate is missing is a filtering process where to basically find organizations where reps are clearing 100, entry levels are clearing 100K and veterans 300K to a million, predictably and consistently. Those companies exist. Okay, so you need to be just laser focused on those. If there's one thing you should remember from this entire call, please let it be this. Nothing, and I mean nothing, will contribute more to the success of your sales career than working for the company with the highest growth and the highest margin. Nothing will contribute more. Basically, the margins and the growth of your employer dictate everything from your compensation levels, your promotion timelines, your skills, your training, your network, literally your happiness levels. You need to be very clear in terms of like, what are those organizations? All your effort should be in just nailing that one move, which is, again, exactly just, this is the only thing that I do. I don't teach sales performance. What I do is I help people break into the top sales organization that will then take care of those things, that will provide you the best product, that will provide you with the best training, the mentors, etc., and everything that you need to be successful. And I find it is 100x easier to print money and be happy with this strategy as opposed to joining like a startup that is just figuring out their PMF and trying to basically like upscale. This is a lost battle. So the big takeaway that I'm trying to say here is the very first thing that you want to be doing is filter. You need a filtering system to understand, to basically like remove the shitty organizations from the right ones. So how do we do that? There's two ways. The first way is called review.com. And if you're not familiar with review.com, it is like Glassdoor. It's a website that ranks and provides feedback on sales organization from sales reps that are working at those companies. So how do you filter companies? You want to basically just go on LinkedIn and search for sales representative. If you're an entry level, you're going to put SDR. If you're like more veterans, you're going to put account executive. So they just put that, for example, and you can put Chicago, whatever city you want. Okay. And then you're going to have like a list of companies. How do you know that these companies are good? So all I'm seeing here is like lots of like great names. Okay. Let's use Gong in this case. So what you want to be doing is you want to head out to review.com and then you want to search Gong. Okay. Here we go. When it comes to qualifying a company, what you want to be doing is look up the company on Review. And there is a few tests that the company must pass. The first one is you want the company to have at least 50 employee ratings. Okay, otherwise the data doesn't make sense. The second rule is you want a review score of 83 or above. So it passes those two tests. So this should be enough to tell you like, okay, I will apply to this company. If you want to go deeper, what you can do is actually if you want to qualify a little bit harder as an organization because you have a lot, that are, for example, at above 83 and you want to stack rank those organizations, you can go like second level of filtering, which is like to look at 3 specific metrics. The first one is the product market fit. What you want to have is something above 85. Okay, in this case, it's 91%. So this is awesome. Passes the test. For the compensation structure, which is here, you want something above 82%. Okay, we're at 84. So that's also good. And the final thing is obviously, I just want to like double click on the review score in of itself because it's an aggregate of everything. This one should be like above 83. And, if you're able to validate the TAM, so the total addressable market, if you are qualifying the pay and the reputation on the company, you are in a great shape. There is much more that goes into qualifying a company, but just to keep things simple, I'm going to leave it here. Again, what you want is to filter companies, okay? Instead of applying to any job that has a sales role opening. Fuck that. Forget about it. We want our job search to be a max function, meaning that any interview we get is a top outcome. We're just playing here. And I just give you basically a process to filter those companies. I also obviously did this heavy lifting. There's much more, than just revenue. There's actually the performance of the company, the revenue growth, the margins. There are financial information that allows you to know if a company is good. And beyond that, there's another level of granularity, which is like some organizations are better for enterprise AE. The enterprise suite is better. Some companies are better for the AESMB. Okay. I'm going to give you an example. Samsara, which is a company you can look on review, has a shitty mid-market segment. Is an absolute uphill battle. You don't want to basically be in that segment, sell their product for those clients. You're never going to hit quota. You're going to hate your job. You're going to hate your life. But the ASMB and the SDR role is fucking amazing. So I have actually filtered for, depending on basically where you at in terms of your sales career, if you're an entry level, mid-career, or advanced, what are the best organization to make the most money and be the happiest? So this is part of the incubator. Quick note, if you're serious, about breaking into an elite company and want the complete system, just click the first link in the description of this video below. And yeah, until then, let's get back to this video. So far, we've covered a filtering system. Another thing that we're going to be doing, remember, always want to do the opposite of the LARPs, of the nice candidate. This is what makes us the great catch. So you got resume writing. Resume writing is talking about yourself. Okay, and I'm going to tell you in a second why this doesn't work. The new meta is resume positioning. Okay, it's talking to hiring managers' fears. This is a complete paradigm shift in the way that you describe your experiences, because the me, this is what everyone does. This is what ChatGPT does. Okay, they're talking about yourself. This is absolute garbage, and this is why you're struggling to get interviews, because people, when they talk about themselves, they tend to embellish everything, and somehow everyone on their resume is the number one rep on their team. They met President's Club, they smashed their quota, and no one's buying this. No one's buying your story, because every other resume says the same thing, especially the hiring managers, as opposed to talking to the hiring managers' fears. Now you connect on something. Now you speak to their world. I'm going to give you a concrete example of what I mean by that. So remember, resume writing is me. Resume positioning is talking to the hiring manager's fears. Okay, it's making it about them. And this will literally triple the conversion of your resume. Now, how we do this? When you join the incubator, I'm just going to show you this is just an information. This is what you want to know, is that sales hiring managers have nightmare scenarios. They have concerns when they're trying to bring someone new to their team. There's actually 7. We're going to be covering 3 just for the sake of, I'll make an entire video just on that. And there are specific ways you can productize yourself. You can use certain frames to productize yourself in ways that disarm those concerns upfront. And this is playing on psychology. When you're neutralizing those, they have positive bias towards you. They're intrigued. They want to meet with you. Now, let's go over 3 actual examples. So the first nightmare scenario that hiring manager has as he's bringing someone new to their team is, what if I invest time and resources training the candidate only to hear sales isn't the right thing for him or her, a couple months from now? So obviously the one that want to neutralize this concern is by demonstrating that you have previous sales experience and you've been good at it. And this is an example of an award track. You've actively extended the client portfolio. We use the language in sales. That goes to show that, we're way past just trying sales. We come from that world. This is completely annihilating that basically concern. So anyways, what we're saying is basically we've generated X dollar, X new sales opportunities, converted Y logos, and Z dollars in that new revenue over 3 months. So we're trying to basically quantify our impact as a sales professional. We've driven impact before, we've been successful at it, and this is exactly what this bullet point is doing. Another nightmare scenario is in coachable hire. Am I going to get stuck with someone who thinks they know everything? This is another nightmare. You don't want to be bringing someone that's going to nuke the culture of your team. Okay, it's going to be hard to work with. And the way you're going to reframe this, so you want to use basically the coachability frame here. And this is an example of how to do it. This is an actual bullet point that you can put on your resume. Proactively incorporated feedback from top performing AEs, refining outreach strategies for an emails to increase meeting conversion rate by whatever percent. Okay, so he's coachable. Oh, so he's been successful in sales. Good. Okay, oh, he's coachable. That's even better. Okay, let's keep going. The client liability. Will they actually know how to carry themselves in front of leadership or our big clients? When someone brings you to the organization, he's putting his reputation on the line. So you better basically demonstrate in your own ways that you have what it takes to basically carry the boats. And you're not gonna nuke his reputation, and you're not going to ruin his reputation essentially. And the way you do that is by demonstrating that you've interfaced with clients, ideally a sophisticated audience of clients. And a bullet point, this is for an entry level, could be like something different if you have multi experience. Establish and nurture long-lasting business relationships with 3,000 SMBs decision makers. So when you start not thinking about you, but thinking about the hiring manager, what he's scared about, and you productize yourself in those ways, you will see basically the conversion of your resume just going through the roof. And you don't have to check my word for it. You can just check like some of the clients I've worked with. Started applying July 15 with my own resume. They applied to 20, got only one reply. Inside the incubator, again, the link is below if you want. I reframed their entire resume live in front of their eyes. And we went after another batch of jobs, 10 roles. And they've got 7 replies. So literally getting like 1 meeting a day. Just from that subtle shift, just from going from resume writing to resume positioning. And resume positioning, again, just means like how the market perceives you. So you want to talk through their fears because what's what they care about. And this will intrigue for you to generate meeting, interest. That's all we're doing at this point. We're not closing. Anyways, we've covered some examples. You can use that. Inside the incubator, we're actually pushing this like way further. This is more for people that are veterans, okay, that are already in sales. Maybe they're in tech, but they want to move to a better company. We craft something called a sales career brag book. It's a one-pager document that fleshes out the biggest career achievements and milestones. And the thing with the resume just tells, like it says like you've closed that much quota, you've closed a deal, that you made President's Club. These actually demonstrate. We're adding literal social proof to walk the talk of our resume. And what we do is that we merge this PDF with the resume so that when someone reads your resume, when you apply, they're forced to basically go through the sales career brag book. And they have higher level of transparency with actual social proof. And now, okay, you got their attention. Your forced consumption of your profile. They spend more time on you in ways that make sense to them. And you will get so many great interviews. Compare this method to asking ChatGPT to take a job description and just, align it. This only sells the benefit. You're not selling the pain, okay? Now I'll give you ways to do it on your own, and you know that there's the incubator if you want me to do it for you. And if you have sales experience, then just put together a brag book. I will do this for you inside the incubator, but now you have an idea of a structure and what it looks like. So right now we've covered the targeting. Second is the positioning, how the market perceives you. Now it's about broadcasting. So now we got a new positioning. There's a new story value that we're selling. Now it's about broadcasting that new positioning to the right organizations in a way that doesn't scream, hey, please give me an interview. Because the reality is this is exactly what people do. Remember this meme about you got my email? Usually what people do before is they apply to a job and they say they've contacted the hiring manager when they actually, all they did is hey, I saw an opening, for an AE role or BDR role. I would love to pick your brain about the role and company. This is absolute garbage. Do you have any idea how many people are sending these type of messages to hiring managers or even sales reps? Every week, there's half a dozen people that do that. Okay, this is generic. You sound like everyone else. This is the nice candidate. You're a clown. The old meta. Now, how does the great catch does it? He knows his value. He knows he's the price. And the commodity are hyper-growth company because new companies are hiring every day. They push new jobs. He is the price. He commands high status in his outreach, in his cold emails. And how he does that? By raising the stakes of hiring the wrong person. Now we're talking. Okay, this is enterprise sales. Have you ever seen someone trying to sell? Because recruitment is a sales. You're trying to sell yourself. There's saying hey, I would love to pick your brain, if you're interested to buy a product. Nah, you don't do that. These are the problems that I solve. And I solve them really well. I've solved them for other people. And I can do that for you. If it makes sense, let's talk. If you pick the wrong person, if you don't solve that problem, this, and this will happen. And I'm sure you don't want that. So we name those things. High status. This is how we keep high status. By demonstrating competence. And I just want to show you an example of before what I do with my clients, is I send a Loom video that tackles some of the things that I just mentioned. And when you got the average person, the nice candidate that just say, hey, I'm looking forward to our call in 5 minutes. What we do instead is, if it makes sense, I'll literally send a Loom video and value proposition doc. And all in the body of the message, I say, if it makes sense to cancel the call after seeing this, all good. Some people think it's ballsy. It's difficult. But again, I am the prize. I know the value I'm going to bring to the table. I know I'm going to dedicate myself. Okay. If you are watching this video all the way this far, okay, that means that you are committed to reaching the pinnacle of tech sales, making good money for you and your family and taking care of your own. And you're willing to invest time, effort, and maybe money in your process. Let me tell you, there's not that many people that are as committed than you. You are the prize again, and you should be acting this way, okay? Embody it more. Now, the reason we can actually play this way, okay, we can embody is because we know what are the problems that hiring managers have, okay? If you don't have that knowledge, there's nothing you can sell. You are irrelevant. So what we do is, again, remember, we went over some of those nightmare scenarios, some of those concerns. Again, there's more, but you want to just click on those. Keep twisting the knife in them. And here's how you can do it in an outreach. The cold email template for approaching a sales hiring manager. This is just a script I'm giving it to you. Hi, Jim. I saw an opening for a whatever the job title. Okay. Here, what is the intent? Why are we reaching out? When I speak with sales hiring managers, not too different from yourself. We're maximizing relevance. Okay. And we're commoditizing the hiring manager. Like I've been meeting a lot, not just you. They often tell me they're looking for one of three things. One, revenue potential. Can this person generate pipeline and top line revenue? Two, speed to performance. Will they ramp quickly and improve fast? Three, reputation. Will I trust them to represent me with prospect and internal partners? The next hire should know how to mitigate those risks in advance. Okay? Let me know. If not, like, here's in a pickle. Let me know, then we go for a CTA. Let me know if you'd be open to a 20-minute chat this week or next, and I'll prepare how to deliver on all three fronts. Please find attached my resume, and again, has the prep book. Trust me, this, you're speaking to the hiring is finally someone that gets me. The thing is, from here, this will like help you get an interview. You need to walk the talk afterward, which is what are we going to be covering in interviewing. But I just want to mention one thing, like what you're seeing here is literally just the tip of the iceberg, because we're just approaching one persona, the sales hiring manager, with one angle. There are 6 different personas that can be tackled, each with different angles. And the thing is, most people, all they do is they spend time like trying to reach out to sales hiring managers and sales reps, where actually there's other people that are more likely to help you get interviews at those companies. And there's specific angles basically you can approach them. And for all my clients, I literally use this same scripts, the same sequence. Everyone goes through the motion. I provide you with an actual like campaign inside the incubator. It's one campaign. It has 6 different email sequences, and we run 900 emails across 50 companies. Okay. And on average, one campaign spits out 5 to 10 interviews from the list of companies we filtered before, the week before, using the steps that I showed you here earlier. So it's all plug and play. Just give it to you. This is an example from my group, the incubator. You got Lars, who landed like tons of interviews. David, who landed like tons of other interviews. I can go on and on. I need to redact some of this information. I've asked my video, like a VP at Gong. Remember the company we saw earlier? Thanks for a creative outreach. You reach out. I've added a hiring manager in SF. Feel free to apply to the open. Boom. You got an intro directly from the VP. We went straight for him using one of the email sequences and some of the lead magnets from it. Then here we got another one. Hey, job. Nice job getting my attention. Okay. Go ahead and apply, and I'll get your app to the top of the pile. Anyway, it keeps going on. I appreciate the video. Like, I help you script everything that you need so you can get tons of interviews in ways that just doesn't scream like, I'm begging you, please help me. I'll help you do it all. This is an example of Anchor. Like, we scripted and I recorded a video, and he actually helped him. Like, he sent that when he applied, and he was proposed a better role, an enterprise role, as opposed to commercial, which is SMBA, as a consequence of those things. So anyways, all I'm trying to say here is right now, that you need to be high status. How to be high status is by drilling down into the pain of the hiring manager, of your audience. This is sales. It's always the same thing. Why should it be different in recruitment? It's not. And what you want to be doing is, I haven't done it here enough, but we actually do it in the Rainbow campaign that I shared with you, is raising the stakes of getting the wrong hire. Okay, talking to that. And that will intrigue enough to generate a fear when we support our messaging with the solution, which is us proposing, to mitigate those risks. Let's jump on a meeting. I'll tell you how. And the resume and the brag book, basically, when you stack those things together, like when you combine the right targeting, the right messaging, this is literally like, and the right basically is supporting documents, like to walk the talk. Like, this is where things go vertical. This is how you break the doors of the most exclusive tech companies that are paying really fat salaries. And again, all it takes is to learn this skill. It's a skill. It can be taught, and I'm showing you how to do it. And this is the new meta. The reason that person wasn't getting a job is because they're doing nothing of this and they're expecting a return. But now you have a blueprint, literally like step by step, free one. Again, if you want to work with me, just click the link in the description and we can have a chat on that. Now we've generated a pipeline of interviews with top companies. Now we need to switch gear and it's about closing them. And there's two ways that this could be done: the nice candidate and the great catch. Interviewing for the nice candidate. I honestly have no fucking clue what it means. I've onboarded many clients, and when I ask them, like, how do you prepare? They tell me they go on LinkedIn to rehearse some of the typical questions. I just don't understand really what they do. They go on the company website. I'm not sure what they do. They see what the product is like. They ask ChatGPT like to help them prepare, whatever that means. It just makes zero sense to me. Okay, this is not preparation. Preparation means you know who you're meeting with, what are those people concerned about, and you're raising those concerns on the spot and you're disarming them. That's preparation for me. That I understand. And this is exactly what we do here. You need, like, the biggest mistake, again, that I see people do. I'm just going to repeat it this way so it's easier. They prepare each interview round the same way, which makes zero fucking sense because each of those rounds are actually evaluating something radically different. HR, they just want to make sure that the person depicted on the resume, the person they have in front of them, are not too different. The hiring manager doesn't care about your background. That's why you got people working at Google that don't have a college degree. Okay, this is why you got Justin that I showed you before that was in a call center that joined a Web3 top 5% company. Same thing for many other people I've worked with. What they care about, the hiring manager, is your ability to plug into their team and contribute to their revenue target fast. So they'll be testing you at a tactical level. And the final round is with the VP. Okay, these guys are a completely different beast. They don't care about your background. They don't care about your tactical abilities to sell. What they care about is your executive presence. And that means is, can we trust you? Am I comfortable bringing you to an important client's meeting? And what's the vision you have for your career? Okay, we'll go big picture here. It's not the tactical, nitty-gritty resume stuff. Completely different ballgame. So when you know what you're actually being evaluated on, what are the shit tests of each of those interview archetypes, then you can, again, productize yourself, just like we've done with the resume, just like we've done with the messaging, by preparing in advance for those things. In the case of HR, we're going to be preparing, it's always the same stupid questions with HR. Okay, you just need to prepare them. We're going to cover 3. We won't have time to do everything. Everything that I'm showing you, literally every bucket, like, could be like a 1-hour video, but I'm trying to just give you as much as you can in one go without, boring you to death. So anyways, background, same questions. A brag book, just social proof to walk the talk of your resume, is enough. For the hiring manager, what you want to do is you want to prove that you can start selling for them tomorrow. Okay, it's not going to take you forever to hit the ground running and hit your number. Okay, and you want to show this tactically, concretely, with one-pager documents. Concrete examples of ways you will do that, not just stories. And more importantly, is you want to fucking qualify them. I'm here, you're qualifying me, Mr. Hiring Manager. I'm going to qualify you. What should I work here? Okay, I'm committed to reaching the pinnacle of tech sales, and I'm looking to maximize the next, which means I need to stay like 3 to 5 years. And during this time, I'm trying to maximize network, skills, compensation. What makes you say, like, this is the right place for me? I'm really interested. Okay, you qualify them in a way that makes sense, obviously, but you should be qualifying them as much as they're qualifying you. Anyways, the bottom line here, the punchline, if we need to put it into a tweet, I put it out I think a month ago, is if you're interviewing with HR, just sell your background. If you're interviewing with hiring manager, sell your tactics. If you're interviewing with a cross-functional partner, another sales rep, for example, sells your values. If you're interviewing with a VP or a director, sell the vision for your career. And we're going to be covering some actual examples, again, of how to prepare each round. Okay? So again, the thing with HR is all they care about is your background. Are you the person that you say you are on the resume? Okay, do you fit the bill of what we're looking for? The brag book already does that. If you don't have sales experience, don't worry. And if you do have sales experience, also don't worry. What you want to be doing is literally just preparing the same typical questions. And what I'm trying to do here is just to make it fun. Let's compare like how Reddit, like, I want to see like alternatives here. Like, for you to trust me, like, you need to realize by yourself that what I'm telling you is better than what's out there. Okay, and I'm going to do like real example here. We're going to literally like take some of those questions and compare what's on Reddit and how I recommend you do it. That way you can get an opinion of yourself. So let's start with the first one. Tell me about yourself. How to answer tell me about yourself question. Reddit. You can put LinkedIn, whatever you want. Tech sales, let's put it this way. Your college degree, if relevant, why you choose that and why you're at that field, previous work history at bullet points, level like you mentioned, 3-5 passions. Who cares about this? If you're married, okay, what the hell is this? Are you kidding me, Bill Sams? Star question. Oh, garbage shit. I can't believe these things still exist. I'm sorry, but it really, like, that's how I feel every time I read those things. Okay, nice. See, that's what I like. I want actual word track. I graduated with a bachelor in 20. I have 3 years of marketing, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, that was not tech sales. Anyways, I'm not going to spend 1 hour just looking for this, but you often get stuff like this, or like some articles that give you like a bunch of like examples, and you need to stitch everything together. You don't know what that means. You're not any further. Okay, you're just more confused. Inside the incubator, I got something called the interview Bible. So the interview Bible. So the first question we said we were going to say is like, tell me about yourself. This is probably the single most important question. Okay, and forget everything that you've been taught about tell me about yourself. Or actually, let me take a step back. Here's why this is the most important question. Because this usually kicks off the interview. It's usually introduction of yourself, and people ask you to introduce yourself. And this, you only get like first impressions, essentially, they last, okay? So if you nail this move, people are going to have a positive bias towards you, okay? And they tend to even ask easier questions. The energy in the room is higher. You get more comfortable. Everything just comes easier, as opposed to when you screw it up, when you're just rambling. It feels like you're always just catching up to that thing that you missed at the beginning, okay? The energy is down. The hiring manager has already categorized you like in some bucket, and you can feel it in the way that he interacts with you. So please do not walk into this interview, into any interview basically, without nailing the tell me about yourself question. And what's important is when it comes to this tell me about yourself is you want to paint out a story. And what I mean by that is what you did before doesn't fucking matter, okay? What matters is like, how are you connecting the dots of your background in ways that makes it appear that every decision you made was deliberate and led you specifically to this point, which is you want to go into tech sales and you want to do it at this specific company. That's memorable. And painting that picture in a way that flows nicely from maybe when you graduated college today, and maybe you have like 3 different jobs, 3 different companies, and why you left, can be done in literally like 3 minutes. That's the elevator pitch. And in order to do that, to paint out that story, I use a very famous framework used by writers called the hero journey. I'm just going to give you an example here of what that looks like. Let's imagine I am a college graduate, like I recently graduated college, okay? And I'm going to answer this tell me about yourself question. Like I'm that type of candidate. There's other types. By the way, this I will help you write your own specific to your elevator pitch inside the incubator. So tell me about yourself, the hero journey framework. So I'm Cocoon. I graduated college 2 years ago. Okay, I think what sets me apart is that I'm very entrepreneur driven. I went into a law degree to be a lawyer of politics. And to be frank with you, I actually had a stigma about sales. Sales was totally not what I intended to do. But then I needed some money and I needed a BDR role for a company. And this experience transformed my career ambition, changed everything. I was literally the new guy on the block. I was 22 years old and I was doing better than people that were there for years. And that's when I realized, there might be something here, maybe something's going on here. I've come to believe, that one should double down on what he's good at as opposed to what he wants to do. And that's exactly why it brought me here, and why I'm interested in sales. I think I have what it takes to be a great sales executive. And I would like to take this to the next level by joining your organization and learning all there is from you and from your top reps. Just one example. But what we're doing is we're using the same framework, ordinary world. You got a culture adventure. You refused to call it the beginning. And then you stepped into the unknown. And then boom, things happened. I forgot what it was called here. Then you're seizing the sword, the resurrection, returned with the elixir. Anyways, it's just a framework. The structure is used everywhere. It works. I will do it for you. But what I'm trying to say is your story should almost make it feel like it's fate that you're in front of that hiring manager. Like that's how I know that a tell me about yourself question is good. If it doesn't pass that single test, then it's a bad answer. I couldn't care. Like, tell me about yourself is about you. It's about them. And this is how you do it. Again, give you the framework. I can do it for you. There's other examples to do that. You can pause the video and go through them. Let's go through another example now. Okay, what is a good answer to why sales on an interview? This might sound like simple. I feel struggle with an answer. Professional when I'm asked on my interviews. I enjoy sales, connecting with people. They're looking for the truth. My answer, which has served me well in the past, is that I like the fact that in sales, your compensation side almost like a true effort, that there's very high earning potential for people who like to put in the work. I also had who likes to necessarily climb a corporate ladder in order to become financially. I've got job offers giving that answer. Okay, see, this is good, but just give me the fucking meat. Like, give me the actual word track. Don't force me to basically think through everything. What's worked for me in interviews as well. What the fuck, tell the truth? This is stupid. Guys, this is sales. It's not kindergarten. When I interview for my job, there are many jobs where going the extra mile really makes a difference. In sales, that extra effort can pay off big. This is the kind of motivation that will keep me working harder. I like this. This is good. This is what I'm looking for. And obviously, ideally, what I want is something to be a little bit more fleshed out, where I just don't have to connect like every dots. But again, this is what exactly the Interview Bible does for you. So why sales? Here's the answer from the Interview Bible. This is my answer from Cocoon. Beside the fact that this is the single most transferable skill, Mr. Hiring Manager, I can enumerate a myriad of reasons why I want to go into sales. And here are a few. I'll give you 4. Human growth. You're forced to become resilient, efficient, and most importantly, an optimistic person. And these are values very dear to me that I will get the chance to practice every day. 2. Financial aspect. There's a direct correlation between effort and reward that simply cannot be matched by an hourly rate. 3. Route into management. Most chief executives and senior managers either started their career or at least have spent some time in sales. For example, Mario Benioff was in sales at Oracle for a decade before, founding Salesforce. And 4, the people. I've had the pleasure of discussing with several A's, SDRs, and VPs, and I admire their thirst for growth, challenge, and I also enjoy learning from them. Bottom line, by working in sales, like to recap, by working in sales, I will be building a skills that is needed in every single business. I have an extremely high likelihood of becoming rich, and I will be forced to become a positive thinking person. I can't think of a better career. That's a lethal answer. And you go boom, boom, boom. 3 points. You don't ramble, and you recap at the end. This is how all the questions basically I wrote out. And I've given you like the core 20 questions that you need to know. And then there's some specific questions that you need at every round, and maybe like even questions you should ask the hiring manager at the end to qualify them. So I'll let you make the call on whether you prefer the Reddit stuff or mine. For me, like everything I see on the internet is garbage. What I mean by the internet is Reddit and LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is the worst, and YouTube, unfortunately, except for this video, of course. All right, let's move on to why change company, another difficult interview question, because a lot of time, like people already have like jobs and they're applying, while they're searching for something. So how to answer why change companies Reddit during interviews. Okay, let's see what's available. I've been with my current over. The work is hard. The guy's giving context. As a producer said that I'm looking for new work because my income is not progressing in my role as expected. Should I try to come up with another reason? Yeah, this is good, but again, sounds like everyone else. Here's the thing with Reddit, LinkedIn, is it just sound like a fucking robot. Sound like a nice guy, even if you try to actually educate yourself. You want to be more clear-cut, okay, in the language, in everything, in the way that this is how you're going to change perception. You've seen what's available on Reddit. You're not feeling valued, more compensation. Like, just give me a word track. Like, give me a good answer. I'm looking for a job with better track. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I feel like I need to change the amount in my bank account. Maybe not this. Guys, like, when you should be searching for those things, you should get the actual answer, okay? You shouldn't be connecting everything and deciding what's best. So why change company? I got 2 different basically examples. Let's go with the Fortune 500, assuming you worked at this. If you worked at startup, it would be a little bit different. The leadership, like a bad way to answer this is basically to point finger and say something like the leadership is clueless and no one's hitting quota. It's a mess. A good way to basically answer this question is, don't get me wrong, Mr. Hiring Manager. I absolutely love my company and have learned so much. Because when you do this, by the way, you're perceived as the headache. So don't get me wrong, Mr. Hiring Manager. I absolutely love my company and have learned so much. That being said, I no longer see a perspective for the kind of growth I'm looking for in my career. There are too many reps per territory, not enough account to pursue, and no product innovation on the roadmap to enter new verticals and address the diminishing opportunity. We've reached a point where the job is more about farming accounts and focus on retention and upselling. I like to think of myself as a hunter, and chasing new logos is what I enjoy, what I'm good at. Finally, as a sales professional, it is my responsibility to follow the money, qualify who I work with, and ensure I operate in an environment that will provide the best ROI for my set of skills and career opportunities. I just don't see this happening over the short term in my current setup, hence our meeting today. You see? So I'm explaining basically what I'm trying to do here is I'm literally providing you with like crisp word tracks that you can use to stand out from all the vanilla stuff that is plastered on every corner of internet. There are better ways. Just plug into it. All the questions are the same. You can prepare them in advance. You can just practice them. And then I showed you how to get an interview. Now I'm showing you how to close them. So we've covered basically the hiring manager. Now, who won the battle? Leave a comment. Actually, I'm interested. Like, is it Reddit that won or Cocoon that won? Like, put a comment there. It's funny. I think the value speaks for itself, obviously inside this document. Like, I've gone in depth. Like, this document made my life miserable for a month or 2. But I'm glad it's done. It's the Interview Bible. And here's some comments basically of people, that have used it. Cocoon 2.0, back then it wasn't called the incubator. It was called the Cocoon 2.0. Is without a doubt going to be the most impactful content you can find to stand out in a competitive market. Okay, I've never seen a more well thought up course, an outline to help you accomplish just that. Anyway, thank you. So right now we've covered basically background. It's always the same questions, how to neutralize them. I showed you what was available on the internet. I showed you better ways. I think there are better ways to basically handle them from your favorite internet cartoon boy Jai Cocoon. Now let's go to the hiring manager. So the hiring manager, these guys want you to be a little bit more tactical, okay, in terms of like how you're gonna contribute to the revenue. Okay, they just don't want you to answer questions. There are questions that you'll be asked, okay, and all of those are already covered in the core question or in the section, the tactical. Like, tell me about a sales cycle. Can you walk me through a deal you want? What would you do in your first 30 days? Let's imagine you're 50% of quota, like all this like tactical stuff. What I wanted to do wasn't to cover necessarily those things, those questions. What I'm more interested in is provide you something that you've probably never been told is people, okay, hiring manager, when they meet with you, they have like biases. And they will send you curveballs because they want to see how you're going to react to them. This is them trying to bully you in some way. And I want to show you how you can basically reframe their worries away, okay? There are 7 typical red flags. We're going to be covering, I think, a couple today. So the first red flag is you don't have sales experience. How are you going to address that with a hiring manager in the context of an interview? So if someone tells you like you don't have tech sales experience, here's what I would recommend. You do. Actually, instead of giving you the answer, I'd love for you to pause the video and just try to answer it on your own. And then you'll see what I'll do. Typically, people, when they answer this question, they go like, yeah, I don't have sales experience, but they're defending. What they should actually be doing is challenging. Sure, I don't have sales experience, but no one did before their first sales job. You don't want to be too confrontational, but you want to isolate. What is the concern behind this question? Okay, what is the question behind the question? And this is exactly what we're going to be doing here. Thanks for addressing the elephant in the room, Mr. Hiring Managers. When managers like yourself raise concerns about sales experience, they're really worried about 2 things. One is someone that will take forever to hit the ground running and require lots of maintenance, or worse, someone that will crumble under rejection and quit. Which one is it in this case, if any? Okay, you see what I did here? I raised the concerns that they have, the actual concern. Okay, it's not this, it's this that they're concerned about. Let's talk about that. And then what you want to do is fucking pounce. Then what you can do is you can tackle that one piece that they have, or you can go nuclear, which is what I'm describing here. And this is stuff that we do inside the incubator. You can follow up with something like, I see now, if I were to demonstrate, like imagine during an interview, you say this, you actually are able to walk the chalk of saying this. If I were to demonstrate in the next 10 minutes, and like any other candidate, I have a plan to contribute $1.2 million in revenue and close 40 new logos by the end of my first year on your team, will missing a sales job title on my resume still be a deal breaker? No. And this is when we start using, this is like the signature of Bojai Cocoon of my account, of the incubator. And where my material really shines is in the one-pagers that you're going to be bringing with you, interview collaterals. You'll be bringing with you to the interviews. All of those are already listed, inside the interview mastery. But essentially what we're going to be doing here is imagine you showing to the interview with the one-pager documents that lays out how you're going to hit the ground running in the first 30 days, how you're going to hit your ramping quota in the first 90 days, and how you're going to break into the top 10% sales rep by the end of your first year, on the job. And how there's math, by the way, there's math, and how following this process will lead you to basically generate this bottom line impact. You haven't been through the job. Maybe you don't know. You don't have a sales job title, but you know what the job is about, what it takes to be successful. And you have a plan that is specific to this role that you're applying for, and that makes sense. Total sense. That's the territory plan. This is one of the interview collaterals. There's other ones. It's actually 5. And we cycle them depending on who we're meeting with. There's one for each persona that we're meeting with. Now, let's go to the other basically interview curveball, is the fact that maybe you have worked in sales, okay? But you've never sold fintech, or you never sold SaaS or a tech product, okay? And the hiring manager is going to be like, is going to try to, bully you into saying, hey, like, you've never sold SaaS, like, and I'm meeting with other people that do. Why should I, what do you have to say to that? It's really putting you in a spot. Then you better reframe this. There's 2 ways you can answer this, okay? There's the clown, the nice candidate, yes, but. This is a defense frame, yes, but. When actually what you should be doing, just like I've said it before, is play offense. You challenge. If I don't have tech sales experience, I'm curious, why are we here today? Okay, the guy saw on your resume you didn't have tech experience. You still wanted to meet. So let's talk about that. Okay, you shift focus. If it's too confrontational, there's another way to do this, which is, so even if you believed I can perform, you wouldn't take me because my resume doesn't have tech written on it. See, we're challenging again the belief that tech experience is required to be great at tech. It's absolutely not true. But we're not attacking the hiring managers, and we're not selling our story. We're tackling his belief, okay, poking holes into it and getting him to admit that's true. And if he has concerns, then let's talk through them. And in the case of if you believed I can perform, you wouldn't check, you need to basically prove that you can perform. And one thing that I use, if you want to go nuclear, another thing that we use inside the Cocoon, which is the school inside the Cocoon, which is the landing page with all the information. And again, click the link if you want to book a call, see if what I can do basically for you in terms of tech sales is a document called the 5P matrix. This is another interview collateral that we use typically at the 4th round interview. And what we want to do is we want to show that we haven't been through a single minute of company training, but we can actually sell like a veteran tomorrow if they put us on the phone. And the way we walk the talk of this is by showing into a single view. We know who are the typical buying personas of the company we're applying for. What is the problem, that they're facing in the buying persona's own words that the company we're applying to is exceptionally good at solving, the problem. So the first P is for persona. The second P is for problem. The third P is for performance metric. It's what is the prime metric that is suffering the most from maintaining the status quo, from not changing anything, from not adopting the solution? Then probing question, the 4th P is about probing questions, what question can I ask a buying persona, the typical buying persona, to get them to admit, to recognize that it's a problem, that it's unacceptable, okay? So discovery questions here, too powerful. And the final one is pitch. What product, because companies have multiple products, so what product fits specifically this persona, okay? All in a single view. Imagine you haven't been through a single minute of company training and you already know all that material. That builds trust that you can establish. You know who's the typical persona. You can build pipeline. You can interface with them. You can build a relationship. You can connect on their pain points. You can build a case for selling. And this you've done all on your own. And this I will do for you. I'll help you basically make them. I'll do it with you before every interview. It's very easy. I have the template. I know exactly how to go through it. I've actually done it for so many companies. You might even have it already that you can use. And we can always tweak it. But anyways, what I'm trying to say here is we've covered basically a few things about the sales hiring manager. I wanted to cover, instead of doing the typical interview question, I wanted to disarm some of the curveballs that these guys will throw you. There's more, obviously, but we covered 2 of those. The other thing that I wanted to do in terms of the hiring manager is to qualify, the hiring manager at the end of the interview. They've qualified you, the first 40 minutes or 30, half an hour, of your interview. The last 10 minutes, they're going to ask you hey, do you have any questions for me? That is an opportunity to demonstrate competence and high status, okay? Never, please refrain from asking, what are the next steps? You can ask it totally at the end, but this shouldn't be your only question. You want to be a little bit more clear cut and you want to qualify the company pretty ruthlessly. And here are 4 questions that you can do. What's the average numbers of deals your reps manage at any time? What percentage is inbound versus self-sourced? Okay, that means you want to know if the company, has budget for marketing, if they're enabling their sales rep. What's the average closing rate per sales qualified lead? Sales qualified lead is SQLs, it's called. You want to know what's the conversion rate on the sales floor. That's a leading indicator in terms of the product enablement of the team and your ability to just smash your quota. And what's the main reason competitors are eating your lunch? This is a subtle neg. I just give you 4. There's so many other things that can be used in the interview Bible. Like I told you before, depending on who you're meeting, I've laid out basically a few options that will essentially get the hiring manager to sincerely appreciate your questions and feel like they have to sell their company. They should be selling you. Now, I realized I spoke a lot, okay? And I want to do a little recap here. So the old meta is dead, okay? Of spamming, chichi-pichi, phone opening, zero prep. You're a clown if you're still doing this, especially when you know now the nuance of the game. And you get actual for each level, we've covered ways that you can tackle this. First step is 25 companies. Then you want a resume positioning. You want to cater your resume to speak to the hiring manager's fears. Then you want an outreach that raises the stakes of raising the wrong person. This is what we saw. And then during the interview rounds, there's many ways to basically neutralize the concerns of the different people that you're meeting with. So to recap, okay, the system is 3 big steps. One is target 25 elite companies using RevView. Two is bypass application with resume positioning and interview collaterals. Then you execute interviews round by round, okay? Most people, they spray and pray, but this approach I've just shown you is surgical, strategic, and repeatable. And I have so many people, I've helped like 300 people land those things. I've showed you a few examples here. There's even a YouTube video which I've posted from Abe, the engineer. Just click the video if you want to hear more about his experience, from the horse's mouth. And this kind of wraps it up. So you have basically a framework to tackle this, the Chad way. That's the great catch. For the complete system, if you want the complete system, just click the first link in the description below now, and I'll see you over there.